along here on this Monday. Hoops opener tonight. We'll turn the page to a little basketball later on, but right now talking some football to open our day today. Coming off the rough loss to Boston College on Friday in the Dome, now falling to 4-5 as we bring in our Monday guest. As always, he is Adam Terry. Welcome in, buddy. What's up?
Hey, how we doing, man?
We are doing here, Adam. How are you doing with your view of the football team right now? Obviously, it's not great shakes at the moment. What's your sense coming out of Friday's loss to Boston College?
Well, I mean, it puts everybody on edge and starts a conversation of things that I don't know if necessarily help us, because we've taken this long and dedicated 8 years into Dino and what he's trying to accomplish. And the last thing is you still have everything in front of you that you need to get done. All right, you can go 7-5, go to a bowl game, and move on.
And yeah, that would be the sense. Like, obviously, nothing's going to change, right? And which would be a good thing, I think, if you went out, you make a bowl game, and you keep it moving. I think we wondered after the Virginia Tech game, right, Adam? Like, all right, is the fight out of this team? Are they out? Is the team out on what's happening? I think we saw. I'll take your perspective. I think we saw a fight, right, on Friday. Is that your sense that the team was still bought in on Friday when we saw the game?
Yeah, I think so. And you're looking at guys that are going to go in and try to prove themselves. Now, there were a couple guys out of the lineup that were due to injury, and guys were stepping in and fulfilling those roles.
Yeah, and we saw that mainly with the quarterback, obviously. He was not the only one, but Garrett Schrader down to injury on Friday, which we learned in the lead-up to kickoff. Obviously, the team would have known it longer since Garrett did not practice all week. What did you make of Carlos Del Rio Wilson's performance, which I think we saw him running the ball maybe more than we've been aware of in the past, and then, it kind of scattershot, I guess, a bit in the passing game and resulted in the 4 interceptions.
Yeah, you love what he was capable of doing in the run game. The combination of him and LaQuinn Allen were nice. It was a breath of fresh air and the ability to move the football. Now, on the other end of that, you're looking at the pass game, and 4 interceptions. It just doesn't do anything for us.
Adam, I'd say if I'm gonna tie a string between the 4 picks and some of the incompletions as well, I don't know if you saw it differently. I didn't notice. Sometimes you get picked, you make a terrible read, you don't see a guy. It felt like on a lot of those, he's a half beat late, right, or a beat late on making a decision, letting go on the ball of. That it was open, and then because it's a beat late, the defender gets there, or because it's a beat late, it's behind the receiver, or we saw that long pass late in the game to Umari, which was just an incompletion, but if thrown on time, maybe that's a long touchdown. Is it that, Adam? Is he seeing it a second late? What's your sense on what maybe ties together some of these mistakes we saw from Carlos?
Inexperience, getting in the lineup and throwing the football around. Boston College is a decent defense. They applied some pressure in the pass game, and Elijah Jones, that's on the outside, a New York State guy, he's a good corner. So you have that ability for Boston College to stop the pass and get in passing lanes. But you've just got to look at what Carlos Del Rio Wilson can do and work on that, right? Like, the deep ball wasn't there. Timing, I mean, he was throwing bullets, but that comes with an inexperience.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like he had guys open, but it's a bullet. But now instead of being out in front where a guy can catch and run, it's a little behind where now it's a battle for the football with the defending player, or however it goes on some of those plays. As Adam Terry is with us, our weekly Monday guest here, we're looking back to it. I guess if you're looking at a bright light on offense, right, it is LeQuint. I mean, he had a monster game. He had the long run at one point, which completely flipped the field, and he's the guy. It looks like if you're going to lean on somebody, that's your option here going forward the rest of the way.
Hands down, I think the offensive line feels a little bit more comfortable teeing off in the run game, and having the ability for Carlos Del Rio Wilson and LeQuint to do that mesh, that ride to side it was a scenario where that was the most impressive thing that we saw.
Yeah, and that ended up being by far the best thing the offense had going. And man, I don't know what to make of the defense. Like, they give up 17, which is excellent. It was not chunk plays for the most part, but BC, they had a couple like long drives in the game where literally it was like 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Right, they were gaining like 2.8 yards a play for a while and somehow turning it into a 20-play drive. What is that like for the defense, where it feels like you're not really giving anything up, right, but you still can't get off the field on those drives?
No, it's the offensive coordinator imposing their will in the run game. And you're having Jack Conley, who's been a starter in the past, being that extra tight end in number 44. So you're looking at 6 offensive linemen coming downhill and displacing the Syracuse defenders. And that's what it was. So 2 yards, 3 yards, 4 yards, pop one for 6. We have seen that is the kryptonite for this defense over the past few years, is when somebody comes in and their plan is to just run the football, that's what it turns into. Boston College, though, came in and it was atypical. They started to throw the ball. Mm-hmm. And then they said, you know what? All right, here we go. We're just going to run this thing.
Yeah, because like the throws down the field, they're just throwing these moon balls. It was peculiar on the deep shots, and they're like, wait a minute, let's just go and get 3 or 4 yards and keep it moving. It ended up working out pretty well, which leads us to this week here, man. Adam, you talk about it. There's still a chance, right, with Pitt and Georgia Tech and Wake. Like, these are all on paper, even as Syracuse is playing right now. These are all potentially doable games. What do you make of this Pitt game? Because Pitt looks to have the worst version of Pitt legitimately in more than 2 decades. We're adding Yankee Stadium into the mix. It's hard to get a read. We don't know who's playing quarterback for Syracuse. Like, how do you set this game? What do you make for what we're going to see on Saturday afternoon?
Well, we gave away a home game in order to go down there, and it sounds like a good thing, but, when you're in the tens of thousands for tickets, it doesn't bode well for us. You needed that energy from the crowd on Parents' Weekend. It really started to turn the tide a little bit. And now you're in this cavernous facility down there that, if you can't respond and get going, Pitt could mount something that we don't like, and that's a run game.
Yeah, I always saw that, and obviously that's what Pitt leans on more often than not, year it out. And lastly, Adam, we'll cut you loose. I mean, you play a game down here at Yankee Stadium. The field surface has never been great in these games, in the Pinstripe Bowls or anything else. It just feels like, right, this is going to be a low-scoring kind of grinder type of game on Saturday. Yeah,
it's definitely going to be a grinder. When we went down there with Eric Dungy and he got put out of the game, the footing was atrocious. And then last year in the bowl game, it was a Big Ten ground and pound type battle when they came in here. So it's going to be, can you run the football? Can you keep your footing? And then can you get downhill and bust one down the field?
Yeah, that is a fact, Adam. All right, man. We'll let you rest the voice and get ready for Saturday down in the Bronx. But thanks for hopping on here, as always, on Monday.